It's no secret that the best scaling weapons in the game are melee, and if you're looking for such a specialist, then Valkyr fits the bill perfectly. Hello friends, Leo here. In the previous episodes of Squad Setup, we had a look at an ability focused team and then a primary weapon focused team, so this time around we will take a look at a team setup which blows it out of the water with sheer melee power. This composition is so strong that 2 hours in arbitration are not enough to challenge it, featuring none other than the frame with the sharpest claws, Valkyrie. And that's because she can not only boost the melee attack speed of the entire team by a very large amount, but also the defense, making it an ideal combination for getting up close and personal. The next frame which complements Valkyr perfectly is Wisp. With her modes, Wisp gives a flat amount of life and life regen, which when paired with the armor from Valkyr, it creates a super high effective HP for the entire party. And if that wasn't enough, the shock mode applies electricity status effect to nearby enemies, making them very juicy targets for condition overload builds. And finally, the haste mode will even further amplify melee speed in addition to movement speed. So by now you should have a really good picture of how insane this is. But why stop there? Let's add a frame which will boost our survivability so much that up until the 2 hours mark, you can go make a sandwich, take a shower, drink your coffee and watch some Netflix because enemies won't even scratch you. Featuring Oberon with Phoenix Renewal. Oberon gives some of the same goodness in form of high life regen and armor, in addition to status immunity and free revive every 1.5 minutes. At this point, you actually have to try in order for you to die. Trinity can also be used, but she's not as good this time around because we'll be going about killing things with our melee, so she might have a problem landing her blessing every 30 seconds or so. Now, this setup is good in missions where you have to kill a lot, such as survival missions. Therefore, for our last frame we need Necros in order to keep our life support high. First, I want to mention that from now on I won't be covering builds in detail that I talked about in the previous episodes. Instead, I will leave a link in the card so you can go watch that for more explanations. Unless something is changed with the build or I need to mention something new. This is both to remove redundancy and also to make these videos a bit shorter. Okay, so starting with Valkyr, the main ability we care about is Warcry. The melee attack speed and armor are affected by ability strength, so we want to raise that to a high degree. This is achieved with Blind Rage and Intensify. If you don't have Prime mods or Umbral mods, use the normal versions, they will work just as fine. Secondly, we need Warcry to last for a decent amount of time, so adding a bit of duration with continuity is very good. We will be using the augment Eternal War, which increases the duration of Warcry every time you score a melee kill yourself. This affects the entire team. The maximum duration you can achieve with this augment is double of your current duration, so in this case it will be 46 seconds. That is plenty of time to find more enemies to kill with your melee. And also, Eternal War doesn't need to be max rank to be efficient. I find that the rank 2 one works just well. We will be dumping our efficiency completely because we won't be spamming abilities. Instead, we offset the low efficiency with a single rage mod. Just so we have enough energy in case we want to recast Warcry or to use Hysteria. Hysteria is used when your HP is low and you need to get some life back. However, with the squad setup, we probably won't have a reason to use it before a few hours have passed. So for the rest of the build, we focus on defense. Valkyr has the highest base armor in the game, so using steel fiber is quintessential. To complement the high amount of armor, we use vitality and adaptation. This will give her insanely high effective HP, making her the toughest member of the team. Now, the important part of this build is the melee weapon. Because we will have over 200% melee attack speed between Valkyr and Wisp, I highly recommend bringing the slowest melee weapon that you have. In my case, I've built myself the slowest staff Zaw that I could. If you don't know where Zaws are built, go to Cetus on Earth and talk to Hawk. Alternatively, I also like using Ram Prime, so if you don't like doing slide attacks with the Zaw, then the Broken Bull combo is incredibly powerful as well. Aside from having a slow attack speed weapon, also make sure that you don't equip any attack speed mods. The most important mod I would say is Condition Overload, because Wisp's shock mode applies electricity status to nearby enemies. So you have one additional status to boost your damage from the get-go. And aside from that, the rest of the build is pretty basic. More damage from Pressure Point and Fever Strike, more range is quintessential, status chance to benefit Condition Overload from Weeping Wounds and Drifting Contact, critical chance from Blood Rush, and critical damage from Organ Shatter. This build hits like 10 trucks and 5 buildings combined. If you don't have some of these mods, then use whatever you have. As long as you kill fast enough for your Eternal War augment, then you should be fine. Using the Narumon Focus School with Power Spike to keep your melee combo multiplier up is highly recommended. Building up the talents is only useful for when you use Hysteria to life leech back. Talents irrefutably suck at dealing damage, so don't have any expectations from them. However, they are decent enough to top your health up whenever you need it. And finally, I highly recommend using Helios with Deconstructor as a stat stick for the Gladiator mods in order to get a bit more critical chance per combo multiplier, which is additive to Blood Rush. Next up we have Wisp. Now Wisp only has one job, and that is to place motes on the ground. She can place up to 6 of them, basically 2 times the 3 of them, and they last indefinitely. These motes scale with ability strength, so we'll try to boost that to the absolute maximum. This build features the maximum possible achievable ability strength, and for that we will use Augur Secrets, Transient Fortitude, Intensify, Blind Rage, Power Drift, and Energy Conversion. Because of how Energy Conversion works, you will first need to pick up an Energy Orb before dropping your Vitality and Haste modes. The Shock mode doesn't scale with anything, so you can drop that as soon as possible. If you want to be extremely greedy, you can also use Growing Power. Just keep in mind to proc it before placing your modes. So this is how you do it in practice. You pick up an Energy Orb and you see the symbol for Energy Conversion in your buff bar. It also shows as a blue swirly thing around your Warframe. Then you go to an enemy, shoot him to proc a status effect, then drop your mode. After you place all 3 modes, you can repeat the process to drop another 3 modes for the maximum of 6. This is useful to cover more area. So after you place all your modes, all you have to do now is use the melee for the rest of the mission. The rest of the abilities don't really matter. Aside from ability strength, adding some duration is also very good, so the buffs can run for longer before needing to be refreshed. Next up, Oberon's build is the same as the previous squad setups, so I will leave a link in the cards if you want to hear a more in-depth explanation. His job is to use renewal and then spam hollow ground. Finally, Necros is also the same as before, but please note that this build is meant to be played in an organized group with support frames such as Wisp, Oberon or Trinity. For solo play, this build is very squishy and you might want to consider swapping some range mods for some tank mods. All in all, the squad setup is very easy to execute and to play. You find a big room to camp in, everybody buffs up, and then you melee for the rest of the mission. So, if melee is something that you fancy, then you'll really like this setup. Not only that it's very safe to play, but it also deals insane amounts of damage. This is my favorite melee setup in the game, one that I enjoy playing very much. So let me know what you guys think about this squad setup and if melee is something that you enjoy playing in Warframe. Please make sure to leave a like on the video if it helped you out, and if you do leave a like, then I will deliver to you a custom-made handcrafted stat stick. That's right, you can have your own real-life stat stick for all your nefarious needs. This is not a scam. Alright friends, thank you very much for watching. I hope you're having a good day or night wherever you are, and hope to see you in the next episode of Squad Setup. Take care everybody.